Hello everybody, so today I have a couple of nuts that are pretty interesting. One you've heard of, that is the macadamia nut. However, this is a macadamia nut inside the shell. That is not a common thing to find. The other thing that I have is the Baruka nut, which is getting a little bit of popularity. You can get these on like Amazon and maybe at like natural food stores and stuff like that. We're gonna get into that in a second, but first I want to thank Brian over at queenoftheamazon.com for sending these to me. I've never had the Baruka nut, and I've never had a raw macadamia nut before, so I'm excited to give these a try. So what's interesting about the Baruka nut is that it's actually a seed to a fruit. Okay, well that's not too out of the ordinary because most nuts that we eat are not actually nuts. They are seeds to fruits, almonds and pistachios and almost everything. The fruit on this one is pretty odd though. It is like a brown pod and it's kind of fleshy looking. A little bit more fleshy than you would expect it to be since it is part of the pea family. So it's related to like soybeans and stuff like that. And it has like a fleshy fruit that you can actually eat. I believe it's common to be used as an animal feed, but humans do eat it also. You can make like jams out of it and juices out of it. The Baruka nut has a trypsin inhibitor enzyme in it, and that's bad. That's a bad thing. So you actually have to kill that in some sort of way in order to eat this safely. I think it's probably okay to eat a little bit completely raw, but if you're going to eat like a whole ton of them without doing that, you'll probably get sick because I think your body can't really digest that enzyme. So what you want to do first is roast this. So let's talk about macadamias a little bit. It's nothing too weird. I'm sure we've all had macadamia before. However, it's pretty hard to find them with the shells still on them, and that's for a good reason. These shells are really, really hard. These things are like little rocks. So to get into a macadamia does take some work. It's not going to be the same sort of thing as like cracking into like a walnut or a hazelnut or something. They are much harder than that. And there's actually a special cracker that people use to get into these things, which I don't have. So that's going to be fun when we get to the point where I actually crack this thing open. Macadamia nuts are originally from Australia, where there are 4 different varieties of them. Now, although macadamia nuts are originally from Australia, they are not the #1 producer. The #1 producer is in South Africa. The more you know. Alright, welcome to the floor. I'm going to first crack open the Baruka nut, just with a hammer. I don't think these are super tough to crack into, so I'm just going to kind of tap it. Yeah, there you go. Not too hard to crack. It's got a very thin shell to it. It's not thick at all. And so I cracked it in half, but I put this back together just to illustrate something. Look at that. It looks exactly like a long peanut. It's like if you took a peanut and you just kind of stretched it out. And as I said, this is something that you normally want to cook, but I'm going to just try a little piece of it raw to see what it's like. It's like a peanut that you did not roast, you didn't boil it, you just like bought them raw from a supermarket and just like pop one in your mouth. So macadamia nuts are not easy to crack open. I feel like if I'm gonna hit this with a hammer, I'm probably going to slip and get myself in the thumb, which I don't want to do. So I'm gonna actually put it inside this little guy right here. And I'm going to put this on top of another cutting board. This way, when I hit this, it's not going to go flying everywhere. And also I can protect my digits. Okay, 1, 2. There we go. Okay, so the plus side here is that I cracked it. The negative side is that it is now permanently wedged inside this hole in my cutting board. Okay, got it. There is my macadamia nut. This, I'm sure, looks very familiar to you. but it's not cooked. Usually when you get a macadamia nut, they are roasted, you know, salted and roasted. So let's see what it tastes like when you eat one just completely raw. It is similar, like macadamia nuts are such like a rich nut, and when you have them raw, you get that, but not as much. There's also a bit of a waxy flavor to it. This is also one that you're going to want to roast. So let's roast it. Okay, there you have it. I've got macadamia nuts, freshly roasted from the oven, and Baru nuts, freshly roasted from the oven. I'm going to try the Baru nut first, because this one I'm most curious about, and I know what a macadamia nut tastes like. So here it is. Looks good. It's split from being in the oven. Maybe I should have pierced it with like a knife or something. I'd say the only difference between this and a peanut is that these are sweeter. It's got like a little bit of sugar to it, not a lot. Peanut has very low though. It's got like 0, maybe 1. This is like a 2 or a 3 on sweetness. Like a little bit of sugar in there. Mostly peanut, but a little bit of sweet almond taste. I like it. It's good. What's nice about it is they're big. You know, like peanuts are great and all, but they're like little teeny little things. This thing is like a more substantial peanut. Next, the roasted macadamia, and I like that it's kind of like uneven a little bit. It's got little char bits on it. Not really charred, but like some parts are darker than others. I have a feeling it's going to have like a nice roasty taste. I love macadamia nuts. Fresh like that, even better. They taste about the same, but they don't taste stale at all. Like sometimes you get a macadamia nut, it kind of tastes like it's been around. It has like a slight like old oil taste to it. It tastes exactly how you would expect it to taste, but it's so clean and fresh tasting that definitely is a much better tasting nut. So I think that's about it for the Baru nut and macadamia nut. Really cool to try these, and thanks again to Brian for sending these to me. I'll see you next time. Bye. I would like to give a shout out to Smarter Every Day, AltPod, and the Harvard League Tea Company. They are mega patrons over on patreon.com. If you haven't heard of it, patreon.com it's how this channel happens. It's how I can afford to keep this YouTube channel going. So if you haven't checked it out, please take a moment to go into the description below and click the link there. I also have t-shirts for sale over at my web store. A link to that is in the description as well. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.